For all the billions and trillions that this body authorizes in the name of national security, we can't even keep our kids safe from their schools being turned into a war zone. Now let's talk about why. Let's talk about one thing more important to lobbyists and the gun industry than children, than houses of faith, than human beings. Let's talk about profit.
AOC saying the very obvious thing behind the reason why we haven't got our hands on any gun control and why gun lobbyists continue to buy politicians to do the same thing over and over and over again. She pointed it out, but in AOC fashion, she also had some receipts. Let's go more.
In 2020, 22.8 million guns were sold, reflecting a 64% increase from 2019, correct?
Correct.
In 1 year. And across the board, gun manufacturers and ammunition companies began to see record profits. Is that right?
That's correct.
Now let's put that into context. In 2020, again, more than 45,000 Americans died by gunfire, reflecting an almost threefold increase from 2015. Are those statistics correct?
That's accurate.
So in your view, are you seeing a correlation between gun profits and gun deaths in the United States?
Yes.
This is about blood money.
Just telling the truth, that's all. Now, by the way, we saw the correlation between those two things, the gun deaths and how much money they're making off it, and based on that. Now, we can get to how the gun lobby makes sure they continue with those profits as these deaths continue to pile up. A little bit more from AOC.
Between 2019 and 2021, 2 years, leading gun manufacturers Sturm and Ruger saw gross profits double to almost $280 million. In fact, during an earnings call, their CEO called the sales boom, quote, historic, ferocious, and that the future was bright. A month after that, an AR-556 pistol murdered 10 people at a supermarket in Boulder, Colorado. Those profit margins, $280 million, go to lobbying. Is that correct? Much of that goes to lobbying, correct?
Significant amounts go to lobbying, correct.
And can you remind us what the gun industry is lobbying against when it deploys these lobbying resources?
They are lobbying against every law that would regulate firearms, period.
Every law that would regulate firearms, period. Lobbying, in case people don't know what lobbying is, it's when they spend their money to make sure they influence politicians to do what they tell them to do. And actually, in some cases, writing exactly the legislation or lack thereof, maybe the talking points and the excuses to not do anything in this case. That's what lobbying does. And they commit hundreds of millions of dollars to this effort. That's how important it is. People with money and corporations with money do not waste it. They use it for a very specific reason, and that's to make more of it. What we also make is more school shootings. Let's look at this graph here, because there's 288 shootings, school shootings in the United States since 2009. I want you guys to look at those other 6 countries there off to the side and how many they've had. Canada and France both had 2, Germany had 1, Japan, Italy, and the UK a big 0. Again, that's all the correlation going on. One more graph, you guys, because over 70% of mass shootings in developed countries happen in the US. That's what this international analysis shows, in case you need to see what 70% looks like versus the rest of these other countries. There that is. Tell me your thoughts, bro.
Yeah, so AOC made 3 really important points here that are almost never made in Congress. So progressives finally fighting back, and I love to see it. So number 1, she talked about profits and lobbying and how they funnel the money back to politicians. In Congress, that is an unacceptable thing to say because you're accusing your colleagues of corruption. Goddamn right you are. Okay, that finally somebody said something that's true. She didn't use the word corruption and she didn't get to specific colleagues yet. But look, Bernie at the same time mentioned Manchin and Sinema and called them corporate Democrats. All of a sudden, progressives fighting back. Oh my God, I know it's not. If you watch this show, you're thinking, that's the beginning. Yes, but well, I'll take it. I'll take it. Are you kidding me? Like no one's done it before. So for her to point that out, that is exactly right. And that 288 number is between 2009 and 2018, right? So it's about a 10-year period. And you know how we showed you the stat the other day, 44% of Republicans say there's nothing you could do about mass shootings in a free society. Well, it turns out there was something that Japan could do and Italy could do and UK could do because in a decade they had none. 0. You know what the difference is? They have very strict gun control. UK and Japan have the strictest gun control and they have no mass shootings. Problem solved. It turns out it's not like, hey man, I wish Einstein was around for this one. Oh man, here, put up the other graph that we showed you. I just can't figure out what's going on, man. I mean, America has the most amount of guns by far, and it has the most amount of mass shootings by far. Gee, man, I wish Sir Isaac Newton was around for an apple to fall on his head to figure this one out. No, it's the most obvious thing in the world, but yet almost no politician ever says it because it would offend the feelings of their goddamn colleagues. So thank you, AOC. Thank you for finally speaking truth. But she's not done yet. So I'm gonna go actually to the beginning of her speech because it had two more points that were really important. Let me show you the first one here.
There's no discussion about gun violence in New York City without discussing the iron pipeline that is Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, Virginia, Pennsylvania, and honorary mention to Ohio, where 70% of likely illegal trafficked guns found in New York City come from. There's no discussion about gun violence in Chicago without talking about Indiana. Because the violence and the mothers that we have to comfort are losing children due to the guns and the carnage and the lawlessness unleashed by those states.
Again, guys, if you know any of the facts, you're like, I don't get it. That's obviously true. And she cited statistics. There's no question about it. What's the big brave thing? No, she just attacked red states. Never happens in Congress. Never. Oh, but those are the real Americans. We can't criticize the red states. They're run by Republicans. We would be yelled at. Who cares? It's true. So finally, someone said the obvious talking point in Congress of, where do you think the guns come from to Chicago, New York? Every idiot Republican say, oh yeah, the gun control worked. Why would there be any crime in Chicago? As if there's like this giant wall around Chicago that's impenetrable. As if you can't just walk right into Chicago with a gun you bought in Indiana. What's this? Like it's the dumbest talking point in the world, but every Democrat was like, but it's red states. We can't criticize red states. Finally, it takes a young woman to have enough courage to embarrass the rest of them into action. So, but she's not done yet. Another thing that is never said in Congress, watch.
Every week in recent memory, we have had at least one mass shooting. Ms. Pringle, you are the president of the National Education Association. You represent teachers. Between 2009 and 2018, how many school shootings did the United States have?
288.
288. Now let's look globally. Our G7 partners, Canada, France, Germany, Italy, Japan, and the United Kingdom, combined, how many school shootings did those countries have?
50 times more.
In almost 10 years. 288 versus 5. This is not normal. Not only is it not normal, it is internationally embarrassing and delegitimizing to the United States.
So another talking point never mentioned in Congress. As the idiot Republicans are like, oh, we just need more doors or less doors. I mean, less doors, that'll do it. And less doors, more prayers. Louis Gohmert just gave a speech about, I think the legislators are not praying enough. If they just prayed more, then the bullets would stop working. They would just freeze in midair like the Matrix people. He didn't say the Matrix part, but I wouldn't be surprised, okay? Well, the Ottoman Empire that would reconstitute itself like an asparagus would stop all the bullets if we just prayed harder, okay? And everybody's like, oh, well, those are beloved Republicans, you can't criticize them. And I was just like, what are you guys talking about? Italy stopped all the bullets, so did the UK, so did Japan. How'd they do it? They didn't need NEO, okay? They just needed gun control. We have more guns and we have more deaths. Such an easy point, almost never made in Congress. See, that wasn't hard. The world didn't cave in. Other progressives do likewise. Go and explain to the American people what our position is and fight back against the Republicans and against corporate Democrats that are in your goddamn way. So in this issue, it's more Republicans, but get in the fight. So thank you, AOC. That's an excellent start.
And just like with the Joe Manchin thing we talked about earlier, how he gets called up by Bernie Sanders, he then has to respond. These folks that like to talk about how Democrats are only being so emotional over these children that are slaughtered, they'll then have to talk about what someone said is happening in their state. And if they don't talk about it, it looks like it's an uncontested battle. keep talking about it until someone says, wait a second, I'm the governor of Indiana. You know what really happens in Indiana? Now we're talking about what's happening, and they have to either deny it and lie to your face, and then we have more proof, and their constituents that only listen to them will have to listen to them talk about the problem. They don't have to right now.
Again, JR is 100% right. Attack on your moral high ground. And on this issue, the entire country's on our side. What are you waiting for? If Biden had 5% of the fight that AOC has in her, we'd be in 1,000 times better shape. Instead, last night he was on Jimmy Kimmel kissing Mitch McConnell's ass. Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.